Welcome to the Chef's Kitchen Healthy Fine Dining series. I'm your host, Nicole Gaffney, and we're here today with St. Luke's University Health Network, where we're bringing together doctors and chefs to create healthy new menu options to be featured at their restaurants. And joining me in the kitchen today is Chef Stephen Yeager of Jamison Publick House, along with Dr. Keith Kearney. Welcome, both of you guys.
Thanks for having me.
Great to have you both in the studio kitchen today. So what are we making?
Today we're making crispy tamari tofu pad thai.
Sounds awesome and very healthy, so let's get started.
All right, great. First we're going to start off with pickled red onions.
Nice.
And it finishes the plate off with a crisp bite and
something nice and acidic.
Yeah, just it balances everything out. So I head to farmer's market this weekend and I got some red onions from the Tippervich Farms over at the Emmaus Farm.
Such a great time of year to be a chef with all of the vegetables in season.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, you live in a great area for it. The Lehigh Valley has some incredible produce. Now, do you like to cook at all, Doc?
Yes, my wife does most of the meal planning, but we share the cooking duties pretty
great.
equally. I mean, except for the grill. As a suburban dad,
Are you the grill guy?
That's my job, absolutely. But I look forward to cooking just about every night.
Would be disappointed if that wasn't the case.
I'm happy to chip in. Anyway.
Good. Ever done any pickling before?
Not really.
No? Okay,
but
good.
I love the flavors, but we haven't done it personally.
Awesome. It's just a great way to use up any kind of odds and ends that you have. It's like, when in doubt, pickle it.
You got it. So for the red onions, the thinner you cut them, the more crispy they're going to be.
I would think the opposite.
If you do a quick pickle, certainly a little thicker would yield you a more crisp onion. But if you're going to do something that's going to sit for a few days, that crispness goes back into it, if you will.
Oh, that's so interesting.
Through the pickling process. So
tell me about what you do for St. Luke's University Health Network.
I'm a gastroenterologist, so my focus is on the health of the digestive system.
All right. What made you want to pick that type of medicine?
My grandfather died of colon cancer at a young age, so that definitely influenced me to a career in medicine and specifically trying to help others prevent cancer.
Wow. So do you specialize in colon cancer?
It's one of many disorders that I look into and treat, and it's definitely a passion of mine because of the family history.
That's great. I love to know the background like that of why you got into medicine because of such a personal reason.
Right, absolutely, and it definitely helps me to, it influences me to do the best that I can every day to keep patients healthy.
And I bet it's a great thing for your patients to know. It probably gives them a lot of comfort to know that it comes from such a personal place.
Absolutely. I think they put a lot of faith in me because of that.
Absolutely.
It means a lot. It really helps our relationship.
Oh, that's great.
Definitely.
So I do have water boiling here to blanch the onions first to kind of get rid of that real initial pungent flavor
onions can be a lot
of the onion. And then at the same time here we're going to make our pickling liquid which is 4 cups of vinegar, 3 cups of sugar.
Oh wow, that's a lot of sugar.
It is a lot of sugar, but it's all part of the pickling process, if you will. You have
to balance all that acidity out. Do you want one of us to whisk that?
Sure.
Why don't you get in there, Doc?
Absolutely.
Show off your cooking skills a bit.
So that was 2 cups of water, 4 cups of white vinegar, 3 cups of sugar, and 2 tablespoons of salt.
Just like regular old white vinegar,
regular old vinegar.
Fancy.
I mean, the beauty about pickling and really cooking is you can alter it. Once you know the base of anything, you can alter it. I did bring the finished product here. This is what it would look like after a good 48 hours.
They have such a beautiful color.
Yeah, and they really crisp up and everything really nice. So we're gonna let that come up and we'll put that in there. And in the meantime, I do have the pad thai noodles.
Okay. No problem. So pad thai noodles, these are a rice noodle?
They are rice noodle, and they're thick. They're a thicker noodle. That's why they call them like about a 1/4 inch thick.
You buy them dried, just like regular dried pasta.
And the way we do is we boil a pot of water, and then they just sit in that boiled water for 7 minutes.
Okay, that's it.
It's not like regular Italian pasta where you're boiling it in water. It just sits in water.
So a little bit different in terms of preparation.
So we can put the onions in this boiling water here.
Okay.
Give them about a minute blanch. And then we're going to put them right into the pickling liquid as well.
And you want the pickling liquid to be hot?
You definitely want the pickling liquid to be hot. It's kind of it's cooking the vegetable and also activating.
Right, really kind of letting that vinegar infuse in.
Exactly.
Nice.
And then that 24 to 48 hour sit time really infuses the flavor in there and lets the magic happen, if you will.
Looks like you have just the right size pot
It
there.
looks like I have a good magic touch of getting it just right.
Chefs tend to have a way with that. So you continue to cook the onions while they're in the poaching or the pickling liquid?
Just for a moment or two, just so they come back up to the boiling temperature. And really, again, over time, they transfer that color and end up being exactly what you're looking for.
They really are so pretty once they're pickled.
Yeah, beautiful.
So along with the pad thai noodles, we have, again, kind of the bounty of the season. You can go...
Incredible vegetables. They're like Bugs Bunny carrots, you know? You always peel your carrots?
I do in this case. They were pretty dirty.
Yeah.
When I make stocks and stuff, if you give them a good wash, the carrot flavor that comes from the peel is actually pretty substantial.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
if you can get that in your stock, you're actually doing a good thing.
My name's Keith Kearney. I'm a gastroenterologist with the St. Luke's University Health Network. I specialize in gastroenterology, which is a field of internal medicine. So I specialize in numerous digestive disorders, including acid reflux, swallowing difficulties, stomach ulcers, and a particular passion is prevention of colon cancer, mainly via colonoscopy. There are a lot of new medications for digestive disease, specifically within the inflammatory bowel disease realm. A lot of new medications for our patients with Crohn's and ulcerative colitis. Over the last several years, there's been a big focus on what patients put into their body, the types of foods. So there's definitely more of a focus on what patients are eating and drinking, in addition to medical therapy.
Do you have any favorite types of foods that you like to cook at home?
We like to experiment, try
Yeah?
a wide variety of things.
Oh, that's fun.
We aim for simpler recipes.
Sure.
We usually leave the complicated stuff to the pros.
Yeah,
but,
well, you're a busy guy too.
But
I'm
we're
sure you
always
don't-
up for trying something new, and when we find a great recipe, we file it away, and
Nice.
we always try to have a good supply of food in the house, so
That's great.
we could cook in house.
What types of foods did you grow up eating?
Growing up, I was actually a fairly picky eater,
Oh,
but
yeah?
thankfully that has changed. And now when I go to a restaurant, I'll typically try the most adventurous thing.
Okay.
And, I've been rewarded with 2 daughters that are now picky eaters.
Of
so
course.
We're working on that. We still usually have to make a separate meal for them.
Oh.
Eventually, we hope that
It
changes.
afflicts the chef world as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
How old are your daughters?
They're about to turn 6 and 4.
Oh, so they've got plenty of time.
Yeah, tons of
Yeah.
time. The older one is starting to try to eat what we
Good.
eat, which is awesome.
Good, that's great. So you did a little julienne there?
Got some julienne and carrots here. In the cooking world, the smaller you can cut them, the faster it cooks.
Okay.
So a lot of times
Makes
when you see these fancy cuts and everything, you don't necessarily have to do them at home.
Well, they have lots of tools now that help you with these things for
They-
home
they
cooks.
sure-
Those little
they sure-
julienne handheld tools
We need all the
work
help
pretty
we can
well.
get.
sure
We
do.
love watching
Exactly.
the knife skills. That's one thing
I
that
know,
we don't get to practice enough
yeah.
at home.
I also have some scallions here. We like to use all parts of the scallions. A lot of people just use the top green part of the scallions, which is great. We use that for lots of garnish and everything. But the bottom part of the scallion is a great onion. I mean,
Lots of flavor
the
in
scallion
there.
is an onion, and we like to serve them in like a 1.5-inch baton, and it adds a whole level of flavor
Nice.
and bite to the plate that
Yeah.
you don't get. Most people will just take this and toss that away, and it's actually a really
Yeah,
great.
no way, waste
It is.
not, want not. So a lot of this is just getting your mise en place ready
It sure is.
so that you can throw it all together quickly
Yep.
at the end. And this is some bok choy?
This is some bok choy.
Okay.
We get bok choy all year long from Butter Valley Harvest in Bartow. It's a hydroponic farm. and
Beautiful. Now, as a gastroenterologist, I imagine you do consult your patients on diet and things that they're eating from time to time. So tell me a little bit about that.
Well, actually, nearly every patient
Really?
encounter we talk about
Sure.
what they're eating.
Right.
I mean, for most conditions, we personalize it to the patient, whether it's highly acidic foods for patients with reflux or stomach problems, or gluten with patients that have celiac disease or gluten sensitivity. But I think overall, the main thing we talk about is fiber. Most of us
Yeah.
aren't getting enough of
Right.
it, and a lot of great fresh vegetables
okay
today, and we will be all right. But
Yeah.
it's good for gut health. It helps to
course.
reduce the risk of colon polyps, reduce the risk of diabetes and heart disease. So you really get everything with fiber. So definitely
yeah,
fresh
fiber
fruits
is-
and veggies are where it's at.
There's one takeaway from the show today,
That's
get
the
more
biggest
fiber
thing.
in your diet.
Absolutely.
Now talk to me a bit about your philosophy of care.
It's definitely a collaboration between the patient and I.
Great.
I don't like to just give them orders. I like them
Sure.
to be a part of the conversation.
As they
and,
should be, yeah.
Absolutely, and especially with like the dietary guidance. If they take that seriously, that's
Yeah.
often more effective than medications.
Completely agree.
Yeah. So if we know each other's story, we could trust each other.
Yeah.
The outcomes are going to be better.
That's fantastic. Now, are these spicy peppers?
These are just, no, these aren't spicy peppers.
so
just,
cute.
they're just baby bell peppers. They're really great. So I'm just finishing up these peppers here for this, and then we can make the tahini dressing that we use.
So this is a really allergy-friendly
It is.
dish.
It is an
That's
allergy-friendly
great.
dish.
So tell
And
me what else you put in this.
So
in this
that was
bowl.
2 cups of tahini,
Thank you.
2 cups of tamari, which is wheat-free soy sauce.
Oh, right, that's the gluten-free soy
So
sauce.
it keeps it gluten-free. The rice noodles keep it gluten-free. The only allergen, if you will, that it does have is soy.
Sure.
And that's not as common these days.
Right.
So that was 2 cups of tamari, 2 cups of tahini. Tahini being really great and healthy for everything it has. It's a ground sesame seed paste.
And such a
So-
trendy ingredient right now,
It is-
too. You're
it
seeing
is-
tahini pop up in everything.
But tahini's high in phosphorus and manganese, which is good for bone health, and it's high in omega-3 fatty
How
acids
about
and
fiber?
omega-6.
We have any fiber in there?
I would
Get
imagine that the
elsewhere.
noodles and
Right?
everything.
We'll be all right.
There's a little in there. There's got to be.
fresh veggies, no matter what, have plenty of fiber. So we're just grating a couple tablespoons of fresh ginger into here.
Oh, it's so fragrant. Can you smell that ginger already?
There's nothing quite like fresh vegetables.
Now, ginger's said to settle the stomach. Can you confirm or deny this as a gastroenterologist?
It actually does work well
Yeah.
for patients that are willing to try it.
Nice.
Absolutely.
Also have some fresh garlic to add into it.
The microplane grater, though, that's such a great
microplane
tool
is
for
great.
home cooks to use when you just need to grate up a little
the
bit of
time.
garlic or ginger. Yeah, I do too.
Big fan of it.
It is too, because it holds back most skin and everything too. So
Right, for sure.
You're pretty much it's not grandmom's garlic press. It's certainly a 2019 garlic press.
Right. Not that there's anything wrong with
No,
grandma's
it's great. I think we all
garlic
have. I'm pretty sure we all have one.
press. I definitely have one in my
Probably
drawer.
still with grandmom's garlic stuck in it still.
Yes, that's the problem with the garlic press.
We definitely have to take a look at the whole patient, what they're eating and drinking, the amount of stress they have at work and at home. All of that plays into what a patient is experiencing, because it could give us some hints into how to better treat our patients. When a patient's experiencing abdominal pain, a change in their bowels, unintentional weight loss, that's a major symptom that needs to be looked into closely by a gastroenterologist.
So just a couple cloves of garlic to mix in with this sauce here, and we're going to whisk that up.
All right. A lot of
And that-
flavor happening
For
here.
sure.
I
And
like
this
it.
is the base of the pad thai. This
Mm-hmm.
is the tahini noodle sauce that again replaces the peanut sauce that you would normally
And
have
this
in a
is
pad thai.
vegan also.
This is
you
vegan
said,
acro-
correct?
vegan
yeah,
across
there's no
the
fish
board.
sauce or
There is nothing,
anything
and
like
that's
that?
through the building of it
Right.
and through the help of my team. It did have fish sauce, and then we realized after looking back at it that
Right.
we couldn't put fish sauce. We could put fish sauce in it if we wanted to, but then we couldn't call it vegan.
Exactly.
And that was the goal, certainly, of it all. So, and I also have 1 tablespoon of sriracha to go in it because
Nice. A
in
little
Amer-
bit of spice in there.
in America we all love a little sriracha.
Do you like spicy food?
Absolutely.
Nice. Now, how does that affect the gut? Spicy food. 'Cause I
One of
hear
the-
different things
One of the
about
more
it.
common
Yeah.
complaints that we get from patients is acid reflux or
Spicy
stomach
food,
inflammation,
yeah.
and the acidity and the spice definitely affect
Right.
that. So might be off limits to certain people, but
Yeah.
everyone else in moderation,
Is there
it's
any
great.
benefit to it? Not necessarily.
Great flavor, and you enjoy your meals even
Enjoyment.
more. Absolutely.
All right, so that water is almost to a boil here, and that's going to put us in the part where we're going to put our noodles in the water and then just let them sit for that 7 minutes. And then while we're doing that, we can build our bowl.
Perfect.
So I'm just going to put the noodles in this boiling water.
All right. So you want the water to come up to a boil, and then you turn the heat off.
And then turn the
Gotcha.
heat off. So we're there, just up to a boil. Certainly give it a little stir.
How do we know the noodles are ready? You time them for exactly 7 minutes?
I'm counting.
Okay.
But yeah, for sure. You time them for 7 minutes. So at this point, we're going to cut our tofu into little squares.
Now, what kind of tofu is this? Is this firm,
This is
extra firm?
this is a firm tofu.
Okay.
Which for sautéing is best because you don't have to
All right.
you don't have to worry about breaking it up so much.
Do you have to press the liquid out of it or anything
In
like
this
that?
case, I did not.
Okay.
I think that with a lot of times when you do that, you end up with, oddly enough, dry tofu.
sure.
So we try to keep it, like most of our food, moist.
Yeah.
That's how it tastes best. So I'm going to dump
Big
this
tofu
out.
fan?
It's not in our fridge all the time, but
Sure.
I don't have a problem with it at all.
An
Looking forward to
occasional
trying it today.
indulgence?
Absolutely.
Would you advise your patients to eat something like tofu? Is that good for their diets?
Well, to replace excess red meat and
Sure.
things like that, absolutely. Absolutely. Try to
Something
balance
more
things
plant-based.
out.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, and for crispiness, we put a little bit of cornstarch on the outside of the tofu. That also
nice.
keeps it gluten-free, being cornstarch, but also gives it a nice, clean, consistent.
Nice crispy exterior. Love that. So just a light dredge in the cornstarch.
Just
You
a
don't
light
need
dredge.
egg or anything
Nope.
like that. Well, of course
That
it's
would,
vegan.
in this case,
yeah.
it would take it out of there. So we're all simple, pretty much all the time.
Do you want us to dredge
we
these
can-
for you?
You can dredge it. Yeah, if you want to dredge them, that's
You
fine.
want to get
Sure,
your hands
put-
dirty?
put me to
Get
work.
up in there.
The glaze for the tofu is honey and tamari
Okay.
and sesame seeds.
Yum. That sounds delicious.
Looking
That
forward
could just
to
be
it.
an appetizer.
It sure
Just
it
that
sure could.
glazed
That's
tofu.
part of how this came about was that somebody wanted our chicken lettuce wraps, but they were vegetarian, and they asked if we could do tofu instead, which we did, which ended up yielding us part of the idea that eventually became this
Nice.
crispy tofu.
Now, this is going to be on your menu as part of the healthy fine dining menu
It certainly is.
to go along with St. Luke's. So if any of your patients are looking to go out to a restaurant and be able to have something.
Absolutely looking forward to sending them up. The menu looks great, and I'm sure they'll really appreciate this.
Yeah.
All right, so I just have a little canola oil that we're going to saute this tofu in.
So we're making enough tofu for an army here.
I'm hungry.
Yeah, seriously.
So we'll get our tofu going here.
So just a nice hot pan, a
Nice
little
hot
bit
pan,
of oil.
little bit of oil. Especially in the health sense of it, you don't need, especially with the nice little cornstarch on there, that almost creates not a non-stick barrier, but a nice consistent barrier
Sure.
for you to cook with. At the same time, we can start our vegetables going here. We have all the vegetables we cooked earlier.
So just a quick saute on them too.
Yep, just a quick saute.
About how long does the tofu take to cook?
At this thickness, a good maybe 2 minutes aside to get it nice and crispy.
So you don't need to cook it through
Nope.
like you would a piece
Nope,
of
it's
chicken
not.
or
There's
something.
nothing.
Right.
Unless you were cooking something with meat along with it, you certainly have to cook it through, but there's not a cook ahead time on tofu in any way.
So you're just really looking to get that nice crispy
Yeah.
texture.
Just need to whisk our little glaze together, and we'll hit that after we flip our tofu and get it nice and crispy. We'll just go right into the pan with this. And
So then that's just going to cook.
Yeah, it'll be a
Yum.
glaze like right in the
Nice.
pan.
This is going to be delicious.
I
I
can't
love
wait.
starting to see how everything's going to come together.
But again, this could be replaced. It's certainly healthy and vegan in a sense, but you could replace it with chicken, steak, shrimp, anything, any vegetable.
Sure.
You could take this whole thing and do really whatever you wanted with it.
Right.
And nobody would ever be disappointed.
Really, whatever fresh vegetables
Yep.
you have at home, some green beans from the garden, or different herbs you could probably throw in.
St. Luke's has an excellent staff of primary care physicians. They take great care of patients, and they know exactly the right time to refer to us. St. Luke's has a growing network of specialists and even more specialized physicians that can provide great care close to home.
And again, we add the sesame seed in the glaze. That's a replacement of the peanuts that would normally get placed on top of
Sure.
that Thai. So once your vegetables are sauteed, you have your noodles all ready to go. You can toss your noodles
So right into the pan.
right into the pan. And we have our sauce here that we made earlier. You can whisk that up and dump that all right in with your
Beautiful.
noodles.
Lots of
Nice.
sauce. Yum. Oh my gosh, can you smell that already? Woo.
Making me hungry.
Yeah, me too. So that's just those noodles are gonna absorb all
It
of that
absorbs
sauce
all of
and
it,
the
yep.
vegetables.
So, in a matter of just a few turns of the pan and your sauteed vegetables and the tahini dressing,
Wow, it smells
you're
great.
a couple tosses away from
They always make a mess.
pad
when I
thai
try to
heaven.
do that.
Yep. You sure do. We're
Me
we're
too.
just like you.
Yeah, they have a professional cleaning crew at the at the restaurant though.
Yeah,
That's
it's
the difference.
not me cleaning my own mess.
Right.
I tend to cook less at home because of that, because I make
Yeah, for sure.
I'm the cleaner at home. So from there, the tofu's ready to go. We have our tamari glaze. Put that in there with a little bit of tofu.
Oh wow. So that's probably going to tighten up a bit from
Yep.
the cornstarch.
It exactly will.
Nice.
Great smell there.
Adds such nice color to the tofu too, because it can look very just.
Tofu, and that's the
Bland.
thing with tofu. Like I
Yeah.
certainly eat it when I have to, but it's not. You have to. Sometimes to get everybody onto the same page,
Right.
you have to make things look
Yeah.
really nice. That's where the bell peppers, and that's where we eat with our eyes.
Absolutely.
You don't realize it, but we eat with our eyes, and also our nose. If something doesn't
Yeah.
smell, the first thing you do when you walk into a place is if it doesn't smell good, it's going to affect everything.
And tofu really absorbs, the flavors of what it's cooked with too.
It sure does.
By putting a lot of really full flavored ingredients in there, I'm sure it's going to taste pretty good.
I have had meat and potatoes men that sit at the bar and eat and eat T-bone steaks order this and say that it's one of the best things they ever had, and they can't,
Wow.
and they can't even believe it. So
Well, that's a testament.
so it
for
works.
Sure. Yeah, it smells fabulous.
Can't wait.
Oh, that's awesome. Now, is this one portion?
This is not one portion.
I was going to say that's a big
This
bowl
is
of
family.
pad
This
thai.
would be this is family style
All
cooking
right.
for everybody at the chef's kitchen for sure.
I was going to say anybody would be going home with a doggy bag with that size.
No, we are on family style cooking right
Love
now
it.
for sure. But that's what we're here for, family.
Absolutely, we are family.
That's what we're not replacing family style, but we're certainly we look to get people together and get them all out and serve them good healthy food that you could be.
Wow, you're going to fit all that tofu on there, are you?
I sure am.
Look at that, he did it.
And as we already did, we have our pickled red onions. And that can just be placed kinda
Very nice.
sporadically on the thing. It's little bites of goodness, I call it.
Yeah, that's really going to brighten everything up. This looks incredible. I'm so excited to try it.
Thank
You
you.
guys have to dig in with me, so let's
definitely
do
will.
it. I don't even know where to begin. There's so many things happening here. Let's start with the
Definitely
tofu.
cut the tofu. It's a big piece of tofu.
Wow. This is so flavorful.
It's delicious. Love the way everything comes together.
Amazing that this is vegan and gluten-free and allergy-friendly. You seriously nailed it. I love everything about this dish. Thank you so much for being on the show with us today. It was so much fun to work with you. And Doctor, thank you for St. Luke's University Health Network being on the show. It's always such a pleasure.
Thanks so much for having me.
Of
This
course.
was really a treat.
Yeah, thanks.
It was really great being on the Chef Kitchen. It was fun. It was great to work alongside somebody else and talk to a doctor at the same time and really kind of prove what it is that I'm doing as far as healthy cooking.